All right. Welcome to hotter than Rogers, Arkansas.
It's more like hotter than the Philippines right now.
Hotter than the Philippines. All right. I got Scooter Baird. It's apparently becoming the James channel since these two yahoos are not contributing. But he came by to get a dry erase board, which is to the side. You can't see it. Doesn't matter. So he can hopefully keep track of all of his exploits as he's trying to leave. But as the two Stooges go, Scott just literally, what, 2 days ago you turned 56? Something like 3 days ago?
June 17th.
June 17th. Oh, was that a week ago?
Yeah.
I don't know what the day is. I know it's Sunday. That means
It's a
Monday I
week
get to
ago,
go back
yeah.
to the Matrix.
More.
But this dude is retired. So, in theory, unless he really bleeps something up, you're done with work, right?
Yep, unless I have to come back.
All right. So that means, as it stands right now, as a teacher, correct me if I'm wrong, you have to like renew a contract at some point, right?
Yeah, I'm doing a leave of absence just to hold my job just in case if everything falls apart. I can always come back.
So do they know you're not going to come back in August, or you have to do what, remedial like workshops or something in the summer?
I might have to do like a week.
Are you going to do it, or
Yeah, I'm going to do it because I won't be able to get out of the country before August, the second week of August.
so this dude's like, the S is about to hit the fan. I'm getting out of this country. But me and Brian, we'll see what it works. Brian's still working on his RV. We'll check in on him at a later date. But so right now, as it stands, correct me if I'm wrong, you're fixing your house up.
Yes.
You're going to try to sell it.
Yep.
And then you basically are going to try to move Mama, the wife, and the son all to the Philippines.
And the 3 dogs.
And the 3 dogs. And this is all in a perfect world. What is this, like August, September?
By the first week of September in the perfect world.
So in a perfect world, you are en route. Everything here is settled and done, and you're en route to the Philippines in September.
Correct.
And you've already got a place picked out?
I already have it. It's already been paying on it.
Dude.
Yeah, got going out.
So a school teacher, 56. Society says, nah, dude, you can't go nowhere for preferably 9 years.
Yeah, and I don't even have a pension yet.
Yeah. So it can be done. And again, 20 years ago, literally, well, if you really do the math, 21 years ago, him and I were working at a department store called Belk. I don't know if you know it or not. I had just got out of college. I'm like, all right, dude, I got to like figure something out. He had quit his career, and he said, dude, I want to teach special education. So we
Like
were
34 or something.
yeah, so we were both in a
33.
weird equilibrium place. And then now he's like, dude, I'm done teaching special ed. I got to get out of here. And I'm like, okay, I've moved on from Belk. I've worked at another Charlton Heston slave factory for 20 years. And I'm like, all right, I got to too. Even
But
though
I just want to clarify, I'm not leaving because of the job.
Oh, yeah. Basically, speaking of that, it's a good segue. We were just talking about, he's got a pretty nice setup in the Philippines. We probably should have recorded that. But another friend of mine, not as good of a friend, more of an acquaintance, he went to Mindanao, Philippines. He's same age as Scott. But, I mean, it was showing, like I showed him some pictures. He's building a house like with his bare hands, him and his wife over there. Very primitive. And this guy, all of us, are more worried about, well, I need a better house, I need bigger this. What we said, though, is I said, hey, look, dude, worst case scenario, how many Filipinos are you better off than when you go over there? It's like 100% almost, right?
No, but I mean a good 90%.
So with that being said, it's kind of all relative because he's looking at my friend who's like building it like super primitive. Well, good for him, but not for me. But isn't that the same thing that some of your friends here who are teachers and they're making like bling,
Yeah, in the
but
70,000s, yeah.
and then they have a ton better retirement and everything, right?
Oh, easily.
But they're patting you on the head saying, good for you. but not for them, right?
Correct. Yeah.
So again, I think it's all
Like a lot less retirement
yeah. So I think all of this is kind of
for
relevant.
me.
So with that being said, it was funny. My dad gave me some. Like I'm growing these in my garden anyway, but my garden keeps like biting the dust, and I keep having to replant it. We got cucumbers, zucchini, squash,
Look
and
good.
I told him because I was like, "Hey, dude, you can have these if you want." But I'm like, "Isn't it funny?" Not that long ago, I'm like, "Food," and you're like, "Dude, that's awesome." Now we're like, "Oh, who cares? I'll just get this at the supermarket." I don't know. Again, it goes back to some of those other things we've talked about, why we're trying to leave the Matrix in the first place.
But I just wanted to interject here. So when I was visiting the Philippines, and I was, in more of a primitive houses that people would call compared to America, and then the laughter and the joking around and the just eating of the food and lots of happiness, lots of joy, and everyone was eating. And is it okay if I bring up the place that I went to visit with your family?
Sure.
Okay, so I went over to it's a relatives of James, and not much laughter. There was a beautiful dinner.
In-laws.
In-laws.
We'll say that.
Okay, sorry. In-laws. And beautiful dinner that was set up by his wife, James's wife. Not very friendly, no offense. Rather stale. In fact, some of the kids that were there were acting out. And I'm not talking little kids. I'm talking 14, 15, 16, something in that range.
And 18.
18. And try to hold a little conversation with some of the people, and it just seemed awkward and stale. The food was wonderful. It's funny because I was one of them. Well, I'm a big guy anyhow, and I was like, "This food's amazing," and it was, and it was amazing. And nobody else was eating it. Nobody was coming to get the food, and the kids were like, "Oh, that's gross." It was Italian food. It was gorgeous layout, and I said to James, I said, if we were in the Philippines, they'd have everybody at that food table grabbing that food and laughing and having a good old time and eating it and enjoying themselves. And there it wasn't. So, like, I know in a previous video, he said, like, we get that $100 meal, and then, that's okay. Well, let's get a $120 meal. Let's get a $200 meal. And we're always wanting this bigger and better thing, but it's not necessarily bigger, better. In fact, in some ways, I would say it's worse.
No, 100%.
So I think we just have to have a perspective what's really important instead of we don't know how long we have to live. I had that scare of prostate cancer, and something can happen to any of us. And I think that if we keep preparing and never getting where we want to go, it's like our life is kind of a farce because we're not doing what we want to do. We're only doing it to accumulate wealth so that someday at a later date when everything's falling apart, we can enjoy it. So.
No, 100%. I literally could not agree more. He nailed it on that whole setup, which again, in the rare chance that they're listening, first of all, I basically tell them that, so it's not like I'm sugarcoating it. But no, Scott brings up a great point. He was bringing up like, oh gosh, what if XYZ, my wife might not have this much money? And I said, whoa, stop. Worst case scenario, how will she be faring in the Philippines? Oh, she'll be rich by Philippine standards.
I wouldn't say rich, but okay.
Okay.
Good.
Like way
Good.
better than the average.
Better than the average.
My exact question, correct me if I'm wrong, was where will she be compared to all of her family? And I think you said she would be better than them all combined, right?
For sure, yes.
And that is the American myth, of the American dream, whatever you want to call it. It's never enough. And we just keep accumulating things until we die. And I'm like, why? So again, that is the epitome of the Matrix, and why I think this channel is called Leaving the Matrix. And I know we were just talking about that before, that it's almost became like the James channel, because I keep trying to get these yahoos to make more videos. Brian, we'll give you an update here in a little bit. He's still trying to work on the RV thing. I told him, dude, I'll throw in, just get it done, man.
And there's I just want to interject. There's always a carrot. Like they're always like this. Like, in fact, this year where I'm leaving, we're getting the biggest school raise we've ever had. And someone said, "Well, don't you want to get that big raise?" And I said, "For what?" So I can do another year, and then do another year, and then do another year, and finally maybe get to retirement if I live long enough. So
it's always the carrot, the proverbial carrot, to where how much is enough, and no matter who you talk to, usually there's going to be somebody saying, well, that's not enough. I mean, right now we're at my crib, not the off the grid crib, the on the grid crib, since I am wearing multiple hats. But again, a lot of people, depending on your background, you would say, hey, 1,800 square foot house, you've redid some of the outside, you got a big yard, even though there's like neighbors, every freaking 50 feet. Oh, this is awesome. But in his neighborhood, oh, well, this is okay. Now, there's another group outside of his neighborhood in the Pinnacle Hills area that's going to look at his area going like, ugh.
yeah,
So, what's enough?
it's never enough.
Never. And that's why he also mentioned some stuff about, going back to the, like old Billy Club, when I grew up out in the sticks, and I was like, dude, I got to get out of here. And we had a lot of neighbors. Again, it was kind of a different, Gen X is kind of a weird, he's like old Gen X, I'm young Gen X, but Gen X rules, dude. You wish
Rules
you were
at what, though?
You wish you were a Gen Z? Anyway, we won't go there.
No.
But no, the kicker about that is, used to we had people that would just come to visit. They just randomly unannounced showed up. I looked at that back then as like, geez, this is like ridiculous. Even now, I would be annoyed if neighbors just came over. I'd be like, what do you want? But we've lost something, and I think in the Philippines that's probably a little bit more normal, right?
Well, I think we should close here soon, and I think, like, I can look at my neighborhood, I can look at his neighborhood here, and I see no children outside. I see no kids playing outside. I barely see any adults outside unless they're, fixing their yard to make it look better than it already is. But there's no interactions outside, no interactions with neighbors. A lot of people don't even know their neighbors, other than like, hey, if even that. There, everyone knows. Everyone. Sometimes that could be annoying, but the kids are outside playing. They're playing basketball. They're playing sports. They're running around. They're outside mingling, laughter. Granted, hear chickens and roosters there, and sometimes dogs barking. But it's a lot more interaction, more happy. I would say that in a lot of ways, at least regarding the atmosphere, is more like, I would say, maybe the 1950s, at least from what we've been told. And I think we've lost something along the way as a culture, and I'm longing for that. I'm longing for hanging out with that neighbor, and that. And if you live in a neighborhood like that, that's fantastic.
Yep.
That's the way it was when I was, growing up in the 70s, even some of the 80s. But now,
yeah, we've definitely lost the taste of life, and that's why I slipped on the old 1950s
and freedom,
vintage hat. Yeah, absolutely.
And freedom, and I'll just, I won't be too long-winded here. I'll just remember that when I was growing up as a kid for Halloween, 6, 7, 8 years old, we ran all together in the neighborhood going trick-or-treating. We didn't have a parent. If you had a parent come along, they would look at you like there's something wrong with you. Like now, I see when they go trick-or-treating, they're 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years old, they got their parents coming with them. We would never do that. Stay out, and we trick-or-treat until 11 o'clock at night, and no one thought anything of it. Or I would leave in the morning, at 8 or 9 in the morning, and just, maybe come back for lunch, or eat at a friend's house lunch, maybe come back for dinner, and come back at before curfew, and be outside playing, wiffle ball, or basketball, or if we did go inside, we weren't on video games. We were playing like Stratomatic baseball or whatever it was. We were just And and this is amazing too. We would travel from outskirts of Milwaukee, take 2 buses, and go to County Stadium at 10, 11, 12 years old as a group of guys and watch the Milwaukee Brewers. And we'd sit in the bleachers, and then when the game got over, we took our buses back, and no parents. We had lots of freedom, and I think our culture is missing that. And with that, I'll end.
And you walked, what'd you say, 12 miles barefoot in the snow?
No, but I walked to school like 2 miles at least, and had no bus. Didn't think anything of it.
No.
Yeah.
And, well, we'll end with this. Henry David Thoreau, who I always like to quote, made the comment that the price for something is how much life you're willing to give for it. So just let that sink in, and I will let Scott close us out with saying, with that quote in mind, what would you advise somebody, regardless of their age, old, young, whatever, that's like, dude, I got to get out of the matrix? What would you tell them?
I think no matter your age, no matter your situation, is come up with a plan. And if it takes that plan 5 years, that plan takes 10 years, do it if you want out of the matrix. And planning is the key, because if you can plan it out, almost anyone can do it.
Amen. Red pill or blue pill, or both?
Blue pill right now.
What about the red pill eventually?
Don't want to go back to the red pill.
No, the red pill, remember, that's the free one. The blue pill is
Oh,
go
I'm
back
sorry,
to the
I'm sorry, I
matrix.
forgot.
I was like, maybe he's just Freudian, he's telling the truth now.
No. Give me the blue pills.
The blue pill is back in the matrix. The
Okay.
red pill is free. Which one?
The red pill.
Okay.
Give me the blue pill, I'll probably puke it up.
Maybe we need to change the name of the channel to, like, get back in the matrix. So, Cypher.
Right, red
There's a
pill.
Cypher over here, so.
Red pill.
All right, guys.
The commie pill. No, I'm just kidding. All right.
All right, guys.